Singer Macy Gray is facing backlash over comments that some people say are transphobic. During an interview with Piers Morgan on his show Uncensored, Macy spoke out about how trans women should not be able to compete in sports against biological women. Take a look.
I will say this, and everybody's going to hate me, but as a woman, just because you go change your parts doesn't make you a woman.
Right.
Sorry.
You feel that?
I know that for a fact. Like, if you want me to call you a her, I will, because that's what you want. But that doesn't make you a woman just because I call you a her and just because you got a surgery. And I don't think you should be called transphobic just because you don't agree with, I just, there's a lot of, judgment and throwing, stones at people for just saying what it is. You know what I mean?
Following some outrage from people online, Macy released a statement saying her comments were grossly misunderstood, saying, quote, "I don't hate anyone. I respect everyone's right to feel comfortable in their bodies and live their own truth." So should Macy Gray, Lindsay, in your opinion, should she have been blasted?
I think it's interesting because what happens on Twitter is that it's a hodgepodge of just people and their negativity from what I find. And
on
I think
Twitter?
On this place called Twitter. And so, I think if there's an opportunity for a dialogue. Now, maybe Piers Morgan wasn't the show to have that because he's kind of intentionally antagonistic by leading her and asking her questions in specific regards to sports, knowing that even Dr. Coley has sat at this table and said that biologically she, as a doctor, kind of disagrees with transgender people competing against cisgender people and competing against biological women. She thinks it's an unfair advantage, especially after puberty. So that's been by a doctor saying that. And so I just think to answer that question and for her to go on, and then we use that clip that we're only seeing the end of, it's kind of unfair. And as I said, the same thing with Kobe Bryant, whomever it is, I judge people by the overall. And so Macy Gray is somebody, and I was talking to Jure, our makeup artist, about this, who has been an ally to the LGBTQ plus community in her music, in who she caters to. And so to think that she's somebody who's trying to impede on their rights doesn't sit well with me. And I would prefer to hear her talk more about how she feels, or maybe sit down with somebody actually in the trans community to have that dialogue about why this could be a teachable moment for her, instead of bashing this woman who's done ultimately basically nothing wrong her entire career, which has been long, except for this moment.
Because people are calling to have her canceled.
Yeah, and that's what happens. There's a lot of different ways. What you said I thought was great, and there's a lot of different ways you could take this conversation. Mine is, are you not allowed to say what you feel just because it doesn't go along with someone else's opinion? That's Macy Gray's opinion. It's not a fact. It's not someone else's truth. It's her opinion. She has a right to her opinion, but this is going to hurt her career. It's going to hurt her big time. I don't know if there's coming back from this. There's always going to be that stain, no matter where she goes from here, that stain of what she just said. I don't like in this country that you can't even express an opinion without having your career stained, without having something jeopardized. You just have to go with the flow, because if you don't, we're coming for you because you don't agree with what I agree with.
I agree with that, but on the flip side, I can only put myself in the shoes of, let's say Sophie ends up being trans, and Sophie's,
Sophie, your daughter.
Sophie, my daughter. Let's say she's 11 years old and she watches that.
I want you to make your point. I don't want you to think I'm taking her side by any ways.
No,
I don't want the audience to think I'm taking her side. I'm taking the trans part out of it. I'm talking about opinions. I want to be very clear before people start judging me and painting me with that brush, because it's already there.
I don't blame you. So
sorry.
Aside from what Lindsay and Jeff said, because I do not think this should be a cancelable moment. I think this should be a teaching moment, because I do want to also consider the teen trans people, the people that believe in their mind or know in their mind that they are, to use Macy Gray's own words, a fact that they know that they are a woman or identify as a man, and then to hear her say the opposite, that just getting a surgery, when many of them don't even get surgeries, they decide to do hormone replacement therapy, that she's saying that doesn't make you who you believe you are. I can only imagine that must make you feel invisible if you are trans. So I just want Macy Gray to hopefully sit down with somebody from the trans community and learn, because I do believe that she's an incredible ally. She's incredibly empathetic, and this can be a teaching moment, not a cancelable moment.
Absolutely, Sammy. And also, let's not forget that maybe we're just hearing some of her comments. I mean, yes, she talked about what doesn't make you a woman. What I would have liked to hear from Macy is what does. Because I think that would have been a really beautiful sentiment, because I think if you took this exact comment that she made and applied it to, let's say we had somebody that was in grief because, they had to have both their breasts removed because of a cancerous mastectomy, and she had said, you know what, your parts don't make you a woman.
Right.
This exact same statement then would have been looked at as this uplifting statement. So when we start to go after people, let's try and contextualize what they're talking about. I'd like to give, like you said, Lindsay, I'd like to give her the benefit of the doubt. She has been a quality human being for as long as I can remember,
Amen.
putting out music that we all can vibe on and love on. And I would like to think that I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt by saying that who you are as a woman, or how you identify as a man, or however you identify is inside of you. And it doesn't matter if you put parts on, take parts off, have parts taken from you, whatever it is, whoever you identify as, it's your soul. It's not really your outer extremities.
Beautifully said.